Hey everyone, and thank you so much for joining us today for Sapphire's debut. We're so excited to have you all here. I'm Meredith. I am the community manager at Oasis Foundation, and we have our engineering team as well as our BD and ecosystem team here today with us. We're going to do a round of introductions, and then we have a lot on the agenda for today. Be sure to live tweet during the event. The best live tweets will be entered into a prize pool of up to $500. So head over to Twitter, be sure to use some hashtags like privacy, Oasis Network, and of course, Sapphire. So yeah, we'll go ahead and get started. Peter, you want to kick it off with introductions?
Sure. Hey everybody, I'm Peter. I lead the engineering team at Oasis Labs. Really excited to be with everybody today to start showing everybody what Sapphire is about.
Thanks, Peter. Hi, I'm Linda. I am head of ecosystem at Oasis. I'm really looking forward to having this conversation with everyone. Thank you so much for joining.
Hi, I'm James, and I'm an engineer at the Oasis team, and I'm a builder, and I also joined Oasis why I built Sapphire to enable you to build things on top of it.
Hi, everyone. I'm Will. I'm the ecosystem growth manager at Oasis. I work with Linda to help build the Sapphire ecosystem. Looking forward to all your questions. Hopefully we can give some info on Sapphire today.
Awesome. Great. Yeah. So just to go over the agenda for today, we're going to be going over some general information about Oasis Network and our architecture. Then we'll have an exciting demo of Sapphire, which is the industry's first and only confidential EVM paradigm. And then we'll take some Q&A from the audience and see where things go. So if James or Peter, you want to kick it off with the overview, then we'll go ahead and get started.
Thanks, Meredith. Actually, I will do the quick overview, and we can head over to James for the amazing demo that he has prepared for the whole community. Cool. Let me quickly share my screen on the regarding the slides. Second, share screen. Cool. Share. Cool. Cool. Assuming the slides are presenting okay. Great. Yeah, we want to give a quick overview of what Oasis Network is, and then we're going to head over to Sapphire, why we want to spin up a brand new paradigm, especially for confidential compute, and why it is important to think through from the growing web3 perspective. Without further ado, let's talk about what Oasis is. So Oasis is a leading privacy-enabled proof-of-stake layer 1 network. And here is a quick overview of our network and architecture. So on the consensus layer, we're using proof-of-stake mechanism, consensus mechanism. And on top of the consensus layer, we have the compute layer. And we have multiple different runtimes. We call it paratimes, short form parallel runtimes. So we currently have 3 paratimes on the network. We have the Emerald, which we launched late last year, which is the EVM compatible paradigm. On that paradigm, we have DeFi, NFT, gaming, a huge lineup of applications for that paradigm. And we also have Sapphire, which is WebAssembly based confidential compute paradigm. We have it on mainnet around mid last year, and currently the confidential smart contract is on the testnet stage, and we will soon launch that on mainnet. And the Sapphire paradigm is what we recently launched on the testnet, which is the industry first confidential EVM compatible runtime. So this doesn't exist in the past. So when we talk about for what kind of runtime that available for Solidity to build, before it was mostly just the EVM compatible. There's no confidential compute support. Now Oasis is breaking record. We are introducing the industry first confidential EVM compatible runtime to the world, and we're very excited about it. Yeah, so here just like a quick capture of what Oasis is known for. So the network is super scalable, high throughput, low fees, much cheaper compared to Ethereum, and we have the instant finality. And Oasis have native support for rollup, just due to its own very unique architecture. And we are privacy enabled, and which we'll explain later why that is super essential for Web3. Here is a quick overview of what we have achieved on the ecosystem side. We have quite a few dApps, including DeFi, gaming, and a lot of NFT projects covering a wide spectrum from 2D, 3D, pixel arts, and some other genres. Yeah, so now we're talking about Web3 is obviously already talked about, but we believe it's still very much at the early stage. Here is what we think are the core pillars for Web3. Obviously, the first is scalability. The network needs to be very fast. I think we are quite, the Web2 world, provides a quite indulging user experience for every user involved. It's super fast. I think as we move to Web3, it also needs to provide this kind of fast, instant experience, interactive experience to users. And second is privacy, just like in the Web2 world, how HTTP is natural progressing to HTTPS. In the blockchain, the Web3 blockchain world, we are progressing from public contract state to confidential contract state. And the third pillar is decentralized identity, which is a core pillar to Web3. Yeah, and now what is on the spotlight is this really robust, amazing runtime that we offer to the world, Sapphire, the industry first confidential EVM compatible runtime that we offer to all developers out there, especially for Solidity developers. And here is a quick rundown of some of the features that Sapphire offers. Obviously, first, confidential compute. So we offer out of the box contract state confidentiality. So some of the use cases you can think about is like maybe like private DeFi, some of the issues that DEXs experience, like MEV, that obviously would not be an issue if you build on Sapphire, because you cannot front run what you cannot see. And stronger security integrity guarantees and full EVM compatibility. And we also have some new built-in functions like RNG, signing, encryption, and stuff. And it's very easy to use, which James will demo very shortly, and leverage current ecosystem. So we firmly believe there's literally no reason for developers out there now to use Sapphire. And some of the use cases, which we launched the Sapphire hackathon last week. Some of the use cases we enumerated on the website, but that was just for people's reference. We're literally just scratching the surface. But some of the use cases that we can think of, just for everyone's reference only, things could be reputation, credit-based, DID-enabled lending, crypto gaming with game logic on chain to enable full transparency and auditability, private DEX, so we don't have MEV issues, decentralized identity, decentralized society, confidential NFT, data-backed NFT. And we strongly encourage everyone to go beyond this list. This list is literally just, we are literally just getting started. Strongly encourage everyone to go beyond the list and think about any interesting use cases that you firmly believe can move Web3 forward. And without further ado, let's, and then Oasis is building the best foundation for Web3, and Sapphire is making Web3 possible. And we have this, as we announced last year, over 200 million, actually it's $235 million worth of Oasis ecosystem fund to support Web3 builders. So let's build, starting today. And without further ado, I will head over to James to start this demo and walk people through how to build your very first Web3 dApp on Sapphire.
Cool. Let me share my screen first. Okay, cool. I'm James, right? I'm an engineer from the Oasis team. And actually, I'm a builder. I built a lot of things in the previously. And we're a builder because we are building things, right? Build things by using existing tools to change the world. And we are so excited in blockchain because I believe the blockchain have the solving the trust problem, right? The one of the greatest things for any transaction in the world. But the one vision about Oasis and also deeply share with me is we believe there's something, right? Something valuable should be protected by the value creator and the value consumer. That's something is the reason we build up Sapphire. We believe, okay, blockchain is a thing open, it's good, solving trust. But is there something in the world should be confidential? That's why we build up Sapphire plus EVM. And today I'm going to build up, just demo one simple app, e-commerce app, right? Very, very simple, but just to show the idea. Okay, so if you can go to this link to have all the demo material, you can try your own. And we start from this D app in the traditional Gnash. We use Truffle to deploy this D app to Gnash, and you can see what is going just the normal D app. Okay, that's just you can just deploy this contract to the Gnash, and we have a backend that for any business, right? You have your own logic going on. You have your own backend, and we can just have the backend. And now we just start the front end. That is actually it's a browser, the app. Every user can just use their MetaMask. Okay, this is a simple browser the app. It's an e-commerce. Here I just show you can sell the OS rows, the art collection, NFT collections, and you can choose to sell whatever you want, right? And this is a very simple e-commerce the app, and here is your address. You connect to the MetaMask, and it also show your current. Okay, we have a. Okay, probably I can just quickly demo what our contract. It's very simple. It has a computational token, right? It have a ERC20. It's just a standard ERC20 token, and we have this business contract. Just this contract just record what the user buy what, right? Very simple. It's a simple data structure, modifier, and accessor. And okay, so this is still it's no Sapphire for now, right? It's just in Gnash, and the people just buy it will invoke the MetaMask. Okay, that's 2 transactions, and you get it, right? That's the standard e-commerce app, and the use of the blockchain, the token. It should be refreshed. Use the token to buy anything you want to sell. And today I'm going to demo is how simple we can port this to the Sapphire of our paradigm. And why we do that, right? Because we believe the payment information should be confidential. You build up.
So James, could I jump in and ask?
Sure.
So just to be very clear, what you've showed so far is just a this is like an app built on a non-confidential EVM chain, right?
Yeah,
just any EVM chain, unmodified Solidity contracts, right? Okay.
This is what we build in the normal. If you want to build an e-commerce app, right, in current blockchain, that's it. But the problem is, okay, all transactions are public, right? You can go to Gnash, you can transactions. I can just view logs or everything. I can know who buy this and how many you buy, how many you sell, who buy it, right? How many items you sell for which price. And we believe, right, this information belongs to the first party, it should not be public, right? You created this beautiful website, you have great products, and you don't want to, right? You want the blockchain to protect it, and in the future you want to monetize that, right? That information we call it confidential payment. So this demo is very simple. It just demonstrates we can build up a confidential ERC20, and if your customer use that token to buy things, the rest of the world don't know it happened, right? The only knows between your customer and yourself. You are first party. So we build up Sapphire to doing that, and we build up a very beautiful compatible library to you easily port the existing D app to Sapphire. It's only one line of change for everything. Okay, so we have 3 flows, right? The deployment, how the client make a transaction from through the MetaMask, and how backend, why we have a signed query, right? Protect you. Not everyone can query your state, right? Not everyone can query your state. Only authorized person can query your protected state. And that's only one line of change. Okay, let me start from deployment. Okay, so for the deployment, we want to deploy the same contract, no change, right? Of course, you have to change something. This for demo, we don't need to change anything, but for you, for protect the confidential, you don't want to have any events immediate. But that's out of boundary, out of scope of this demo. For this demo, we don't need to change anything, right? Exactly the two simple contracts. And we just modify this. We have to just get the dependency of our beautiful compatible library. And we have just wrap the provider or signer. And use the same. Okay, you have to don't use my private key, okay? Use your own private key. And we can just deploy to the Sapphire. Yeah, sometimes currently sometimes it's taking longer than expected. Oh. Anyway, so there are some gateways have some town issue, but that should not block our current demo. Just assume, okay, we can deploy this tool can definitely deploy your contract to the Sapphire, and we can just stop our client and the server. For the server, same thing, right? We can use our compatible library. Well, okay, we change our endpoint, right? We don't talk to Gnash. We talk to our Sapphire gateway. And here is only one important change. It's just we wrapper our signer. So we can do all the encryption for you for free. That's it. Only change this. And we can just, we can restart it again. Now we talk to our, oh, this doesn't deploy successfully. Okay, we can. I can just clone my. Oh, this time works. See? It works. Sometimes it's just the gateway have some. Yeah, we definitely we can solve more problem. Make sure it have faster response, but there's a performance issue. But the functionality it works now. This time it works.
Demo effect.
Yeah, and good. So we can continue our backend. Okay, this time should work because now we have address there. We have successful deploy to the. Yeah, now it can work.
And so this is deployed to the Sapphire testnet.
Yep,
is that right?
this time is deployed to Sapphire now, and that verify, right? Last time we don't successful, so it's a high problem. Don't have address. That don't have address on the Sapphire testnet, and now it works. And stop this one, and we do the same thing for the client. There is client. And we change the code a little bit. Same thing, right? Only change. We declare the dependency inside Sapphire and only one line, right? Or only one line to change. We wrapper the window Ethereum, MetaMask functionality. And all the other logic, right? All the buy, purchase logic, query logic, so we don't need to do anything. And we can just restart the app. Okay, this is some HVC. But here I want to mention is okay, because here we need to sign. What is sign? It's a so signed query, right? Oh, I have to change this to the Sapphire testnet, right? The Gnash, MetaMask called to Gnash, okay, cannot get the correct address. Okay, now it's good. And we refresh. Here is a signed query to see. So this now is okay, this token information, right? The token belongs to any user. And that information is also confidential. We don't want everyone to publicly query how many money you have, right? For this, that's why it's called confidential token. So we just need a signed query. So you have to sign this query to get your balance. Now, okay, now we do the same thing. You can buy. Okay, it take a little bit longer because yeah, we only have a test net, right? It's just take a longer than expected, but it works. And okay, we can just buy. After 7 seconds, they show up. And the key idea is okay, no one knows, right? Except the buyer and the seller know these transactions. Other people don't even know the existence, but this transaction is protected in blockchain, but no one knows. And we can just go to this. Okay, here is a token. We have just for demo process. Okay, we have some public events immediate, right? If you remove the immediate, the people only know transaction, but don't know the detail. Don't even know if you have a relay, right? If you have a wrapper on top of it, no one even know the transaction happened. But the first party and the buyer know it. And we believe that is a valuable information. It's an example of a valuable information. We should protect it for our value creator and value consumer. Okay, that's finish my demo. It's very simple, right? For deployment, for client side, for business server code, one line of change for everything. And yeah, for the server. So for the server, actually, very interesting is I want to emphasize is okay, it's also signed query, right? You have to use, because for the business owner, server side is business owner, right? And you have to use a signed query. That means you have to provide your private key to query all the purchase data. Your computers or other random people cannot just look through the blockchain history to get the information. No, not anymore.
James, can we? Sure. Yeah, that's an important point. Can we? I think maybe I can jump in and just explain a little bit about signed queries, as this is a really important primitive that Sapphire introduces. That's not that's not something that's available in a normal EVM chain. And so a signed query is it's just an EVM call. So this is like contract calls that would happen, on any normal EVM network, but it's a call that's authenticated. And so the runtime will authenticate the user who's making the call in order to do access control. And so this is a way that a contract on Sapphire can decide to to expose, so say expose certain private data to a particular user, you can use the with the signed query, the contract can examine the caller to see the identity of the caller who's making the call, and have its logic contingent on that. So this is a way that contracts can do access control for private data on Sapphire.
Yeah, just as Peter mentioned, right? For the current blockchain, you can, for any query, right? You can just you can use any address from parameter, right? You can just overwrite anything from. But okay, Sapphire cannot, right? If you from the address, you have to provide your private key to just authorize your query. Okay, and that's a simple demo about what we can do on the Sapphire, and I believe that solve an important problem, at least for me myself, right? A lot of people in our team, we believe that we complement the blockchain with one important feature missing in the current blockchain world. Okay, any question? Yeah, we have a lot of time for more questions. But that's just a simple demo, and I believe you can do your own. It's very simple and one line change, right? Remember, just the key takeaways is one line change for everything. You have this beautiful confidential feature for free. Cool. Let me stop my sharing.
Cool. Thanks so much, James. Really appreciate it. And thanks so much, Peter, for chiming in here. Yeah, we got so much interest for Sapphire, and I think the community team has already collected quite a few questions waiting for us to respond to. So maybe without further ado, let's go straight into the questions. We can start with, yeah, I think there's a question here. As we know, a chain as big as Ethereum has been hacked. How does Oasis protocol team pay attention to security issues? So far, how about Oasis protocol security development? Peter, do you want to address to this question?
Sure, happy to. We like to get this question because we take security very seriously, and it's something that we really pride ourselves on, hang our hat on. So, what is our stance with respect to security? So we develop all of our code in the open. So all of our code's open source. It's available for anyone to see, audit, scrutinize. We have a lot of security expertise on our own team, and we, as we design and develop our code, we focus on security as a primary design consideration. But beyond that, we also have a very generous bug bounty program that's open to anyone to report security issues, vulnerabilities that they find in our code. I can say that we've paid out quite a number of bounties to people that have found issues in the past, and we very much welcome submissions there. I think, also I think our track record shows that since we launched mainnet coming up on 2 years ago, we have not had a major security incident on our mainnet. Not to say that not to say that's guaranteed. It's certainly something that can always happen, but we've had a very good track record up to this point, and it's something that is really one of our biggest considerations in everything that we build.
Cool. Yeah. Thanks so much, Peter, for the insights. Yeah, the track record speaks for itself. Cool. The next one. I think we've got a community member asking, in documentation, it is said that we do not update Solidity contracts. It can leak data. How can we check that? Or what do we need to look when we port contracts to Sapphire?
Yeah, I can take this one as well. So this one, this is also a great question. It follows directly from what James was saying about how really you can take you can take your Solidity code unmodified, change single line in the code that you're using to deploy your contract and deploy it to Sapphire. That's true. So that's super easy. It's super cool that it's that easy to get started. But also it's very important if your contract, if your application does handle sensitive data, it is important to realize that you may need to modify your contracts to ensure that the sensitive data is protected. So it's in general, it's a big question. The place to start, I think, is to look at our docs. We have kind of a high-level doc that explains some of the common pitfalls that you can have that could unintentionally expose some data that your contract is trying to keep private. The flavor of the kind of things that you need to watch out for would be like emitting events, for example. So James mentioned in his demo that for the purposes of the demo, for debugging, for demonstration, he's emitting some plain text events to help show what's going on. You have to be careful if you're choosing to emit any data and events. Events are public the same way they are with any other EVM chain. So you have to be careful if you're emitting any sensitive data and event. You would want to look at what your application needs to do. So if in a lot of cases, you may want to continue to emit some public data. So, the types of things you could do if you have a token contract, like an ERC compatible token contract that, emits a transfer event with the source and destination and amount. You could choose to modify it to, instead of releasing all of that information in an event, you could release just the source or just the destination or just the amount, or the source and destination but not the amount. Or you could use our Sapphire's built-in capabilities for encrypting data to actually encrypt some data to a particular receiver and do it that way. But so yeah, events are a big one. Other things you would want to look out for would be the signed calls that we talked about. So you would want to be careful to properly do access control on any calls that your contract exposes. So you would want to check the signer, check the sender of the call to make sure that it matches the identity of who you want to release that data to. But anyway, we have some good documentation there, and we definitely plan to expand on it as we get more feedback from developers about the types of applications they're trying to build and the experience they have.
Thanks, Peter. Next one is the entire transaction. I believe they're referring to transaction in Sapphire encrypted, or can just certain parts be encrypted?
Yeah, also a good question. So yeah, that's a good question. The entire transaction is not encrypted, so that the part that's encrypted is the data field, the payload, so the data that's actually delivered to the smart contract. And so the parts of the transaction that are not encrypted and that are public are who's sending the transaction, the destination of the transaction, the smart contract that's calling, as well as the standard metadata like the nonce, that kind of thing. But the actual payload, the data that's being sent to the smart contract, is encrypted.
Cool. Thanks, Peter. Cool. Let's move on to the next question. Could you share some other examples of use cases that could benefit from confidentiality? Will, do you want to take this one?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. So I think, as we mentioned, there's a few sections we mentioned in that deck. The areas that I think, I mean, honestly, I think the sky's the limit. I think there's going to be a tremendous amount of use cases that we haven't even thought of that'll just come out as people start playing with the network. But the areas that we've sort of identified as interesting are DeFi, gaming, NFTs, decentralized identity, and socials, like social applications. So just like a brief overview of like how each one would work. I think in DeFi, it's pretty self-explanatory. Like by being able to hide certain aspects of state, and you can, like Linda said, you can build like a MEV resistant DEX, something that can't share or doesn't share the order book, doesn't share slippage and this type of thing. So therefore, bots can't front run the transaction and can't arbitrage, and so that saves users 3%, something like that, on every single trade. I think this has been like a major area of research for crypto, and yeah, so it's really exciting that we can sort of solve that. In gaming, the example I always give is that like pretty much all Web2 games have some assumptions of confidentiality or privacy. Even like something like a card game, poker, anything like that, you have the assumption that you don't know what is in the other player's hands. So for most games, you're gonna, I think, need confidentiality. How games do it right now is that they take this code and they put it off chain. But the issue with that is when you take things and you put it off chain and you centralize it again, and so now you've lost sort of the benefits that have come from Web3 and blockchain with like the high integrity, trustless nature. With NFTs, this has been something I've been thinking about recently, but you can create like a lot of more efficient auction mechanisms and minting mechanisms. I think it's been like no secret that large and popular NFT projects have been pretty detrimental or have gone poorly. Users have to pay extremely high gas fees to get their transaction looked at. Sometimes they pay the extremely high gas fee and they still don't get into the mempool. So they just wasted it. Additionally, this congests the network, and it also has like poor price discovery. So with the ability to hide aspects of state, you can hide other people's bids. You can hide the end time of contracts, and so that allows for novel mechanisms like a candle auction, where there's a sort of random end time within a window of like a few days, let's say. And so in the game theory there is that like you can't put like a last second, maybe eBay style bid and undercut people. And you also have to put up your highest price that you're willing to pay without knowing what other people are paying, because you don't know if you'll get like another chance to put a higher bid in later. So these are like really cool, more efficient auction mechanisms that I think will solve the gas waste, the poor price discovery, as well as the congestion on the network. DID, I think that one it's known that like DID is wanted by everyone in Web3, but there's a lot of issues with how do you post sensitive information on chain to prove things about you, your bank account balance, your age, what country you live in, stuff like that. So Sapphire definitely provides capabilities to do these things in new, innovative ways, and I think we'll see a lot of DID solutions that come out. And then socials is like, I think people have always wanted socials in Web3, but it's sort of hard to implement. At least one of the areas that has been hard has been like, if you have a Facebook, if you have a Twitter or something, you can block people, you can share your content with only specific people, and these types of things. And so confidentiality, even in social media in Web2, has been a pillar. And so at the very least, Sapphire can solve that sort of issue that has been holding the social applications back. And I look forward to seeing people create maybe some cool things, like for example, like something like Patreon, where you'll only share content with specific people or something along those lines. So yeah, those are some use cases. I hope I gave you some good ideas, and I hope some people have been inspired to now develop cool applications.
Cool. Yeah, thanks, Will. I think next question probably is best for you to answer as well. I think some community member is asking, are we finding high demand from, I guess, companies or project who know Sapphire is being built? Have they already let us know that they want to use it? I think it's a question about momentum, the general demand we get from the industry about Sapphire.
Yeah, So I think over the last month and a half, with the launch of testnet, Sapphire has been we've been evangelizing the network to all the products we're talking to, developers we're talking to. Did an AMA this morning with a developer community that went amazing. They seemed super excited. For projects, I think specifically DeFi projects have shown a lot of interest. Pretty much every DeFi project has like an aha moment within like a few seconds of the pitch. Bridging projects, these types of things all see a lot of value. The key thing I think that people wanted for a while was this compatibility library that James demonstrated earlier. Now that we have that out, products are playing with it, and we've gotten like pretty great feedback that people have found it easy and are excited to build on the network. I think we'll have some pretty good announcements coming out with integration partners and things of that nature pretty soon, so stay tuned.
Cool, thanks, Will. Let's move on to the next question. So we've got one question here. We can only do inquiry on confidential data with our private key. How can we share specific data to specific contracts, addresses, for example, for an institution to verify that with some user did some payment? Peter, do you want to take this one?
Yeah, sure. So there are a few different ways that as a developer you can build an application that allows sensitive data to be disclosed selectively. And so in this, I think this example and this question of wanting to verify a payment, right? So wanting to say you made a payment to someone, you want to be able to prove to them that you made it. In that case, you could actually share the decrypted contents of the encrypted transaction that you made to prove to the person that you actually made that payment. The other mechanism is signed queries that we mentioned before, and so this is a way that you can actually do interactive queries to the smart contract to potentially return some sensitive information or data information based on sensitive data. And so that's also a mechanism that a developer can use to selectively disclose sensitive data to particular parties.
Cool, yeah, thanks, Peter. I think this question you probably answered before, but I think it just given how frequently we're seeing this question, it might make sense to address again. So I think we have a user asking, is it possible to keep certain or whole set of transactions private indexed by Sapphire? I think this whole Sapphire being, the privacy part being configurable is something that people want to know more about. Do you want to?
Yeah, that's right. So the short answer is yes, it's possible. And so it's really up to the developer of the contract and the application to decide what data they want to keep private and who they want to disclose it to. And so, yeah, I mean, this is, again, like Will said, this is why we're so excited to get developers to start building things to really, I mean, as we better understand some of the particular flows that developers are interested in building, like, oh, I've got this, I have this certain kind of information flow, and I want to keep this data sensitive, this data private, and this data public. I think we're looking forward to potentially expanding on the libraries that we offer to help make some of these things easier. But the short answer is it's definitely possible, and as we see what developers start to build, we will try to help build libraries and tooling that help make it easier for developers to do what they want to do.
Cool, thanks, Peter. I think I will hand over to Meredith.
Cool.
To
yeah.
conclude the session.
Sounds good. Thanks so much, everyone, for joining us. It's been great with the demo and a very intriguing Q&A session. Of course, if you still have any questions left, feel free to head over to Discord Our engineers are active there, ready to answer your questions, or any of our community channels like Reddit, Telegram, or anywhere that you feel comfortable. So feel free to ask anything. And we also would love to invite all of our developers in the audience to take part in our Keep It Confidential hackathon. That is ongoing now. This hackathon is on testnet, but we still have a lot of great incentives and prizes. We also have ways for anyone who maybe would like to join but doesn't have a team to find a team. So if you head over to Discord, check out the hackathon channel, check out our announcement channel to see more events that we'll have coming up and ways to get involved. We would absolutely love that. So yeah, thank you everyone for joining us today. It's been a great session. Be on the lookout for more hackathon and Sapphire related events because that is our #1 focus right now. So stay tuned and we hope to see you at our next event. Thanks everyone.